Oui, bonjour, bon matin à tous et à toutes. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning from Montreal, and of course, with colleague with me, I saw on the screen Carole Jabet, the VP Health at the Quebec Research Fund, and also Mylène Deschênes, who's in charge of ethical aspect and also responsible conduct of science at the Quebec Research Fund. So basically, to start with, maybe the title, Commitment to Action. So basically, that's what we want with linking with you, being member of CoARA, action-driven organization. Very, very important for us because we are still a bit isolated, I would say, in Quebec in relationship with CoARA, open science, open access, and so on. And also silos. We want to learn from you all. So that's really certainly one of the major objectives that we have as member of CoARA. You mentioned that already, but just to say a few words about the Quebec Research Fund. So I'm the chief scientist, and we have four VP. I mentioned already Carole Jabet with the health sector. Then we have someone, Janice Bailey, which is more, I would say, natural science, engineering, and technology. And Louise Poisson, social science, humanities, art, and culture. And of course, we have an overall administrator of the organization. So it's a fairly small organization, about 300 employees, but it works fairly well and support research in Quebec, partnership with the other province and the federal government in Canada, but also a lot of international collaboration. I will not go in detail here. As chief scientist of Quebec, I advise the government of Quebec on all aspects of research and innovation. By background, I'm a neuroscientist. I was about 30 years at McGill University in Montreal. So a lot of link with our government. Also, and maybe that could be interesting for you at some point, I'm also the president of INGSA. This is the International Network of Governmental Science Advice. And this is the aim of that is to build capacity in science advice and science diplomacy globally. About 6,000 members in 130 different countries. And the focus of INGSA is the Global South. So we have chapter in Africa, Latin America, and Asia. So eventually, they could be interested to link with some of those guys. It's very much of a ground, bottom-up type of organization. So if there is interest, we could certainly explore potential partnership between some of you and INGSA. Next slide. So the mandate is to support basic research in all aspects. So fundamental research certainly very critical for us. Also a lot of focus on challenge of our society, great challenge of our society like climate change, if I may name that one. And maybe now I would even say democratic society, learning about democratic society and how to do better, because there's a lot of challenge these days with what's happening in various parts of the world. In terms of budget, we'll say about 40% goes to the next generation of scientists, training, and young investigator. The rest is research project. A lot of it is network. So it's not necessarily individual project, but a lot of network. We support about 130 network on all type of topic, from genomics to philosophy to religion and so on. Next slide. So research excellence and what does it mean? So very, very important for us. And we have discussed that here in Quebec for the past few years, involving social priority, understanding of society a bit better, very complex challenge. And of course, if you think, for example, of the pandemic, something happening in one part of the world, a lot of impact on other parts of the world. So we have to change maybe a little bit the way we do things. Raising intersectorial type of research, of course, basic research and in a discipline, excellence in the discipline is very, very important, but also finding ways to convince our colleagues to collaborate more and to work together to study again climate change. Yes, we need experts on the climate, but we need also on board social scientists as well as healthcare experts. Emerging form of research, data with AI, of course, a lot of it all over the world, access to data, quality data, very critical, and also more and more citizen participatory research involving citizens in our program. That's something that we do quite a bit now. Societal impact, of course, we think a lot about economy. The economy is very important, but also impact on society is as important in our mind. Being very open, certainly very, very important as well. Next. In terms of your interests and our interests, open access, publication policy, ADI from the past few years, responsible conduct of research, of course, like many other groups. Simple general rule, we try to simplify also more and more what we do, the type of program that we have. Then in terms of global interaction with organizations like CoARA, DORA, we signed DORA in 2020. We're a member of Coalition S. We're the first one, first academic institution in North America to be part of Coalition S. Of course, ORCID and CoARA. Still, we are the only one that have signed CoARA in Canada and maybe even in North America. Next slide. Why did we join? I already mentioned that a little bit. We want to work with you. We want to share practice. We want to learn from you. Mistake, not to do the same thing, all of that. So very, very important to have a common framework. And that's what we like a lot about the way you are organized, and collaboration, really, really working together as a group, learning from each other, being very, very open. That's certainly very, very critical for us. And we're learning a lot already from you. Next slide. So, and that's part of a global type of a program that we have at the Quebec Research Fund, focusing now more on, for example, the descriptive CV, ADI-related type of program, training of our peer reviewer, have less bias in terms of data as well, very important. Open science, I already mentioned that. Atypical career path, that someone starts, stop, open a company, work for a museum, don't want to go back in research. We're trying to find ways also to accommodate these type of career path. All type of research, I already mentioned citizen science, knowledge mobilization. We have a program of science and society, so discussing with the citizen in our society, very bottom up, but also with our government. So we have various programs that link with the government, sending students, for example, to work in ministry and so on. And of course, being in Quebec, science en français, so that's very important to promote. Science, of course, and the result of science, of course, a lot of it is in English, but also in other language. So making sure that everything, not everything, but the bulk of what is published in different language would be part of large database, the large data set, and working very much on that with our colleague in France. Next slide. So, and of course, we don't do that in a vacuum. Very important group to coordinate all that. I already mentioned the CV, intersectoral research, open science, cultural exchange, also depending on your background, depending on your culture, that's very important to take that into consideration as well. And here in Quebec, in Canada, we have various groups, First Nation group and Inuit, that we are working with, a lot of commitment to working with this group, very important for us. Different way of doing research assessment, ADI, I already mentioned that, participatory research, multilingualism, and very, very much bottom-up type of structure. So from our employees at the Quebec Research Fund, partnership, of course, with university and college in Quebec, and of course then with high-level policymaker in government and scientists. Next slide. And action plan. So we say we want to be focused on action. So just a few weeks ago, we released our action plan. You could have access to that. You see the link there in both English and French. And really, this action plan describes the context where we want to achieve, and action related to commitment. So that's really want to do, making sure that we can deliver on the action plan. And I will say that we will not be able to do that by ourselves. We need you. We need your input. We need your suggestion to improve the plan. So what we are doing and will pursue and what we intend to do, we'll describe that a bit more in a minute. So in the action plan, the value of diverse type of contribution. Of course, publication, peer review publication remain important, but there's all kind of contribution that we have to take into consideration, and we are doing that more and more. Qualitative assessment, the narrative CV as an example is certainly something important, but also working with peer reviewer in university and college, because if they don't change their way of assessing proposal, probably will not be able to achieve what we want to do here. So training and supporting the peer reviewer is certainly very, very critical. We have started that. Probably we need to do a bit more on that front, and CoARA is very helpful there. Ongoing dialogue. We'll make mistake, so we need to exchange with you, but also with colleagues here in Quebec and in Canada. Lesson learned, trying to improve on the plan as we go along. Here is the timeline that we have in mind. As I said, we just released the action plan, so that's a good step in my mind. The CV, the narrative CV, we're almost at the end of the process there. We hope to be able to finalize that in 2026, and also we hope to be able to include all aspects of CoARA, the various exercises related to CoARA, in the next strategic plan of the FRQ. So we just approved the one for 25 to 28, but we'll give us a bit of time to make sure that by the time we do the next one in 28, we'll be able to include all aspects related to CoARA, different way to evaluate research excellence. I think it's fairly ambitious because, of course, on our side, maybe we can move fairly quickly, but of course, we have to make sure that the scientific community, the academic community follow and adhere to all that. So we have a lot of discussion and consultation to do with our partner, the Quebec and Canadian University, but also, of course, at the global level with you. And as I said already, what's key for us is to learn from you, for what you have done, what you have learned, because you are ahead of us in many programs. So it will be important to exchange. And I know that Carole Jabet, Mylène Deschênes, and there's others as well that really want to work very closely with you and make sure that at the end of the day, it will be a success, and maybe we'll be able to convince others in North America to become member of CoARA. Merci bien.